Boxing King Media, powered by BYD and the Riyadh season. Mr. Frank Warren out here in LA. As I said to Eddie yesterday, I've ticked off so many places meeting you guys around the world, and now we tick off Beverly Hills and a beautiful view behind you.
Yeah, it's lovely. It's a lovely part of the world, and beautiful weather. And they got a fantastic card lined up here on Saturday.
You know, before I jump on the card, I was just curious. Have you done anything in LA before or around here before? Just tell us a bit of history.
Yeah, Tyson fought. The first Wilder fight was here, and going back over the years, we've been involved in many promotions out here.
I like to know some like historic ones that the ones that the fans forget about, and so it's good to remind them that Frank Warren's been here like decades ago.
Well, I'm an old guy, I mean, we've had off the top of my head, I'm just thinking back. Yeah, quite a few. I mean, here in Vegas, which is just up the road from here, we've done. I mean, everybody. Frank Bruno fought Mike Tyson out here. Show I done with Don King. Naz, Joe Calzaghe against Bernard Hopkins, which was a great fight. Yeah, quite a few over the years. Loads and loads. I can't remember them all, to be honest.
Fair play. I'm just curious, what's it like with regards to, as a promoter when you're doing shows here compared to the UK, like the pluses and the minuses of it?
Well, the UK, obviously, it's our market and we know it very well. I don't look at it like any minuses. I just look at it all being a plus. I think all of it is a plus because it's good for boxing. They're great shows, and you're spreading the word and expanding everybody's horizons. It's just boxing's on a real high at the moment, and it's a good place to be if you're involved in it.
It definitely is, and you'll have seen yesterday, I'm sure you've seen the videos of the grand arrivals they did yesterday on the Santa Monica Pier, coming in them classic cars, a Corvette and a Mustang, some crazy stuff, and a Riyadh season doesn't stop surprising us.
No, it doesn't. I mean, very, very creative, His Excellency and the team, and Eddie's doing a good job here as well. It's been a phenomenal event, and it is going to be a phenomenal event. It could be a great show on the night.
You're a neutral in the main event, so I'll start with the main event. You obviously got Terence Crawford, Madrimov. Eddie's convinced, and so is Frank Smith, that Madrimov's going to shock everyone. But I highlighted to them that he's had like 11 fights and Crawford's had 40. But they're saying timing could be on his side as well. How did you kind of see that?
Well, I think Crawford at the moment, certainly his last few fights, has been top of his game. I think Madrimov is a real decent fighter, but I think he's going to have his hands full.
Okay. What do you think that fight will go the distance, or how do you see Crawford beating him?
I just think the experience will see him through, and I think when he wants to turn it on, he can turn it on. If he goes the distance with him, I think it'd be a real achievement. Having said that, I mean, there are a few people who fancy him to do the job, so we'll see.
Everyone talks about timing and moving up weights at the right timing. I think you did it with Nas, where I think he was fighting a bantamweight and then went up and won a world title at featherweight, without even having a fight there. Crawford's going straight into a super welterweight fight, and I think he was a super lightweight, which sounds outrageous when you look at it size-wise. How much of a factor is that going to be?
I don't think it's going to be an issue. He's not a young fighter, is he? I mean, he's an older fighter, but he's a well-preserved fighter. It's not like he's got massive miles on the clock. He's been in most of his fights, he's been quite superior. And it's clicked for him over the last couple of fights. He's looking as good as he's ever done. There's no doubt about that. And you find out here, a lot of fighters go through the weights. You look at Manny Pacquiao started out and what he went to. You look at, Roy Jones started out winning a world heavyweight title. Loads of them go through the weights out here.
Yeah, that is very true. The other fight I want to speak to you about is Jarrell Miller, Andy Ruiz. Miller has lost 43 pounds, I think he's told everyone. Ruiz looks slim, but we don't know how much weight he's lost. But Miller looks like in a career best shape, and he's also said that Dubois beat him. In fact, in his words, he beat himself, not Dubois beating him, because of the weight that he's lost.
I don't know about that. I mean, he's very capable. He's undefeated before he fought Daniel. Daniel did what he had to do, and done him in style at the end of the fight. He showed how dangerous he is. But he needed to shift some weight. That makes him more mobile. It makes him more dangerous. He's got fast hands. He's got a good eye. And And we'll see what Ruiz has got. He's been out the ring for a while now, hasn't he? It's his first fight for, what, 18 months?
Yeah.
2 years, bloody well. Well, let's see what he's got. So it's going to be an interesting fight. He's got fast hands, although he didn't look so fast when he fought in the second fight against AJ. So let's see what he brings to the table and how the 2 years out the ring has affected him. It's a really interesting fight.
It definitely is. If you was to pick a winner in that fight, because you saw Miller firsthand, in his, Miller's words, he wasn't fit, but he gave Daniel a really good fight up until the moment he got stopped. So if he's dropped 45 pounds, what does he do against Andy Ruiz?
Well, I don't know. I mean, you see whether it suits him. I mean, sometimes you've got guys who are naturally big and carry weight, and it doesn't affect them. For me, I don't believe in heavyweights bulking up and carrying all that crap around on their body. It's all about speed for me and mobility. We will see. We will see whether it suits him or not. But at least he's for what it's worth, he got quite a few rounds under his belt before Daniel stopped him. So he's got the rust out of his system. But I think it's going to be really seeing what Ruiz brings to the table. Miller will be very, very competitive, but I'm quite interested to see how Ruiz is at after 2 years out of the ring.
Jared Anderson and Martin Bakoli. Anderson's now trained by Sugar Hill. Eddie Hearn and Jared Anderson had a bit of back and forward yesterday because Jared wasn't happy that Eddie was picking Bakoli to beat him. Where do you kind of sit with that fight?
I don't know. I mean, everybody's got a high opinion of Jared, and maybe they're right or not. I need to see a bit more of him before I make that decision. It's a test for him. Martin's a tough guy. He's not the fastest of heavyweights. Not the most mobile guy. I mean, he's coming out with some stuff about Daniel the last few days. I mean, God, I'm really sort of feel sorry for Daniel that he sparred with him. He knocked Daniel out twice and broke his nose twice.
That was going to be my next question. What do you make of that?
Well, that's just bullshit, isn't it?
Because I know he said
it's just a nonsense. It was a tough spar. But how old is he?
Bakoli, no idea. I can Google it, but I'm not sure.
Is he well in his 30s, isn't he?
I'll have a quick Google. Frank, give me 2 seconds. Martin, how old do you think he is?
I would think he's in his 30s.
Right, according to Wikipedia, Martin Bakoli is 31.
No, he's 31. Well, he's 5 years older. So when they were sparring, it's a big thing for heavyweights. When you're a young kid and you're sparring with these guys. But it didn't happen. I spoke with Martin Bowers, who was at that time his manager and trainer, and he said they were tough spars, but they would be. It's what you expect. But he didn't get his nose broke, and he's twice. I mean, what? How'd you get your nose broke? It's just a nonsense.
Does the Hrgovic fight prove that it doesn't really matter what happened in sparring? Because Hrgovic said that a lot, didn't he?
Well, he said it, but they all, so it looks to me like Daniel's a punch bag for all these guys.
And he's a world champion.
Yeah, and he's a world champion, yeah. But he's a punch bag, so these guys all beat him up and whatever. It's just bullshit. They were tough spars, but he's a young kid, and they are tough, and they would be tough spars, but they're experienced, and he's a young guy going in there, and he's a powerful man, as Hrgovic will verify.
On the note of Daniel, I don't think I've had a chance to speak to him since his world title win, but I don't know how much credit you've been given, because he's a fighter that when he lost to Joe Joyce, they were saying he needs to pack it in and he's going to quit again. But you stuck by him. You matched him brilliantly. You got him the right fights at the right time. I almost compare it to what he did with Amir Khan. You made him a world champion when people wrote him off, because people were saying he's done when he got knocked out by Braders Prescott. But he got the right fights. And do you think that's...
I didn't pick that match.
Did you not? I know you didn't. It was his it was his trainer, wasn't it?
His family insisted on it, and the trainer at the time insisted on the fight. I thought it was a stupid fight because I didn't think he was ready for him. But anyway, that's water under the bridge. But we resurrected him and brought him back.
You did. That's a nice way of putting it, resurrected. And you obviously did that with Daniel as well. And you've done it with numerous other fighters, which I could name here. But where does that skill come from, Frank? Is that you on your own? Is it your team? How much thinking goes into right, we're going to strategize this. He's going to fight this guy, that guy. And then, it's a proven remedy.
I think I've got a good eye and I've got a good team around me, and we look at matches and, if I feel that a fella's ready to go, I'll press the button. We did that with Joe Kawasaki, with Lacey, when he fought Bernard Hopkins. He went into all those fights. He went to those fights as the underdog. Ricky Hatton when we made the fight against Costa Zoo, who at that time was pound for pound #1 in the world. I mean, that was a real good coup. Making Frank Bruno against Oliver McCall, making Danny Williams against Mike Tyson.
There you go.
And but obviously there's other ones that not quite worked out.
But people don't remember the good ones, and people talk about the ones when it goes wrong. So I'm going to highlight the fact that you've mastered it a few times.
Well, I like to think we're not bad at what we do. But Daniel's loss against Joe Joyce, that was a really good fight. That was a very, very good fight, and it was keenly fought by both of them. And Joe was working really good behind his jab and busted his eye up, and he couldn't carry on. And if had he carried on, he wouldn't be fighting today, because his eye was nigh on detached. He had a detached retina, or would have had a detached retina. He had 4 fractures in his orbitals, which is what happened to Joe in the first fight against Zhang. He also got fractures, and they're dangerous injuries, and you've got to be. He did the right thing. But as we say, Daniel's come back and done what he's had to do. And again, we picked the right matches for him. Trevor Bryant was always a good fight for him, as was Hrgovic. I said he would stop Hrgovic. I really did believe he would stop him. I knew he would stop him.
Master strokes. And now you've delved into the US market. You've got one of your prospects he's fighting tonight on the pier. From all the places in the world, he's fighting on the Santa Monica pier. He couldn't make it up.
No, he couldn't, and it's great. And he's having his debut fight, and I'm looking forward to him launching his career, because he is an outstanding amateur, and I believe he'll go places.
What do you make of away from this card, Eddie Hearn wanting Derek Chisora to fight Johnny Fisher?
It's a good fight. I think that's a good fight.
Is it fair in the sense of because Derek said himself that he didn't feel like his legs were there, and he was trying to get his legs to move and they wouldn't move, and you've got Johnny who's a young, fresh, fit heavyweight. Is it fair in that sense?
I mean, again, it's about the matches. I mean, Derek went into that fight as an underdog against Joe, and most people felt Joe would stop him. And there were tight moments in that fight where it was quite close to it was swaying backwards and forwards. But there were 2 absolute brilliant warriors, showed tremendous heart, the pair of them, bravery. I mean, it was a spectacle for the fans to watch. I mean, they didn't miss each other with much, and he prevailed at the end. He's a tough old boy. He's a tough, and it's a shame you have to have a loser in a fight like that.
Yeah, definitely so. And a couple other things I want to speak to you about. For a promoter who's been in the game so long, you will have seen in the Olympics. Even before I talk about what's been happening in the boxing in the Olympics, we saw the opening ceremony. I don't know if you saw that caused a lot of controversy. Somebody from your old school. What do you think of stuff like that? Like when you see a ceremony, like in the opening ceremony, basically mocking the final supper, which is
it's disgraceful.
Yeah.
I mean, anyone's religion, whether it be Christianity, Judaism, Islam, whatever, you should respect that. And especially from it's a country, and you've got Christian countries and people of faith who are participating in that. I don't think that's acceptable. They did apologise, apparently, didn't they?
I just think it's probably too late.
They didn't. Yeah. But and listen, and all the haters. I mean, that's the problem in the world, isn't it? Is the respect for what people's beliefs are. Even if you're an atheist, that's your belief. Exactly. Whatever you are, that's your choice. And as long as what you're doing is you're not interfering with somebody else, you're not some nut who's finding extracts from the particular the Bible, the Quran, or Torah, whatever it may be. You're not extracting something that wants to. Some extremist view that's going to threaten and basically say that you shouldn't be here, you should be annihilated if you don't believe in what we're doing. That can't be right for anything. People are entitled to their beliefs, and as I say, as long as they don't interfere, that's good. And as regarding what they did there, I thought that was quite disrespectful.
Now they've got a person that was apparently born as a male, now fighting as a female, and it's been a big controversy.
I think they should be more concerned about that as well. Another concern. I mean, how can that be right? This is not a race, which is bad anyway. Or I think I like what Sharon Davis says. I like what J.K. Rowling says about this stuff. I believe in what they say. They're entitled to their views too, and certainly a man, born a man, who's much stronger than a woman physically. That's not disrespectful against women. That's a fact of life. That's how it is. So how can you have somebody born a man who is genetically a man, punching a woman in a fight. That can't be right.
The last thing I want to speak to you about, Frank, is the incident in Southport the other day. We saw rioting on the back end of that unfortunate incident where them young girls unfortunately got murdered as well. Sad scenes in the UK.
Well, it's just, it's just horrific. I mean, how can you even put that in words? Can you imagine the terror of those children and the pain of their parents, their brothers, their sisters? I mean, it's just beyond. I find it really, and I'm just like you. We've seen the news and so forth. I find it incomprehensible that anybody could be so wicked. And I don't know what they was writing about. It seems to me they was writing about the rioting was going on again because it was like some sort of race-related thing.
Yeah.
I don't know what the background is. The guy. I mean, what I've read is he comes from Cardiff or Wales or something. I don't know what it is. Keep calm. I think one of the mothers come out and said, "Please stop this." And I'm sure that's right, because why do you want more violence out of violence?
Exactly.
It's crazy. And this knife stuff. I mean, to somebody. I don't care if he is. Was he 17? If he's obviously they arrest him. It seems pretty straightforward. It is him. But how anybody could be so wicked to do that? I mean, defenseless little girls, and go and do what you. I mean, I think, and I'll say this: it's things like that you think, why, you think about death penalties and things, and what is the. He'll go through the process, which he's entitled to go through, the law and whatever. But at the end of the day, if he did it and he's done what he's done, I mean, for me, I find that why should he be alive when those poor children who are really young, not seen anything in life, are just going enjoying themselves dancing, and he's still alive? I mean, it's incomprehensible.
I couldn't have put it better myself. Frank, Warren, thank you for your time, and all the best fight week, and look forward to some good nights.
Cheers,
Thank you.
mate.